We all think we're on the hero's journey, but who wrote the script we're following? Everywhere we turn, the same words echo: ego death, awakening, letting go. Beautiful phrases, yes, but also a kind of spell. What if we haven't awakened at all? What if we're simply learned a new way to imitate enlightenment? The world sells us perfection, morning routines bathed in soft light, green drinks in serene hands, tidy spaces where nothing ever leaks or breaks. But enlightenment isn't curated. It's not found in the flawless frames. True awakening happens in the small spaces, in how we speak to ourselves when no one is watching, in the moments we choose gentleness over judgment, in the quiet return to our breath after we have forgotten it. I'm Janet. I'm a psychotherapist with specialized training in ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. This is a place to remember. The medicine doesn't care about perfect lighting or the color of your smoothie. It meets us in the mess and teaches us that the sacred has always lived inside the ordinary. This is the archetypal journey of the trap of sameness, a reflection on how the search for transcendence can become another disguise for conformity, a kind of performance where culture drifts further and further from the true self into presentation. We start mistaking aesthetic for awakening, believing that if we just got the perfect look, the right lighting, the right tone, that right kind of sacred minimalism, will finally feel complete. But the right aesthetic does not make us whole. It only deepens the quiet urgency that somehow, even in our healing, we're still doing it wrong. And yet, beneath all that noise, the medicine waits. Patient, unbothered by our needs to appear healed, ready to lead us back to something real, ready to lead us back to something that can't be posted, our very own lives. Jung said archetypes are the invisible pattern of the psyche. They're not instructions, they're living energies, ancient rhythms, waiting for a new voice, a new face, a new life to express them. But in our hunger to belong, even in the sacred space of spiritual work, we start to mistake archetypes for templates. We forget that they are meant to be worn lightly, like costumes we outgrow. The hero's journey is not a rule book. It's a pulse that moves through every life differently. When we copy another's descent or another's revelation, we flatten the mysteries of our own selves. The psyche doesn't want repetition. It wants renewal, to feel its truth come alive again through our stories, in our language, in the way only we can live it. We live in a time of astonishing sameness. Scroll through any feed and enlightenment looks identical. The same poses, the same smiles, the same promises of peace. We start to believe the quiet lies, if only I could look like her, if only I could speak like him, if only I could live that kind of life, then I would finally be enough. But each if only pulls us further from the truth of who we are. We stop becoming ourselves and start performing a version of someone else's healing, someone else's journey. The tragedy is that our uniqueness, the exact thing we think must hide is the one thing capable of saving us. Let me repeat that. The tragedy is that our uniqueness, the exact thing we think we must hide, is the one thing capable of saving us. Scroll through any feed, and enlightenment looks identical. The same poses, the same colors, the same quotes in perfect typeface. Sameness has become our camouflage. We crave belonging so deeply that we trade our originality for safety. We gather in circles of agreement, repeating the same phrases, wearing the same conviction, mistaking uniformity for truth. It feels comforting at first, the collective certainty, but soon it begins to quiet the inner voice that's meant to keep us awake. When every belief around us echoes our own, the sound of genuine thought becomes almost unbearable, and yet that's where the real awakening begins. Even in the psychedelic work, our revelations start to sound alike. Everyone speaks of surrender, of fractals, of merging with light, and yet beneath all of that sameness, the true self waits, restless, unseen, aching to speak in its own dialect of wonder. Every session, every person, every experience with the medicine is unique. There are no single destinations, no checklist for enlightenment. Some come seeking peace, some come seeking courage. Others simply want to know themselves again, to feel like someone lives inside. Each of us carries our own definition of what it means to be whole. My version of wholeness, or the one you see reflected in social media stars, does not define yours. The medicine, especially ketamine, offers the bravery to look beyond imitation, to trust that your path will not look like anyone else's. It gives you the courage to wander, to meet yourself in unexpected places, and to remember that healing is not symmetry, it's sincerity. The ego is clever. It knows how to mimic transcendence. It slips into the robes of the mystic and calls it freedom. But the shadow hides there too, behind the performance of awakening. The shadow of this age isn't ignorance, it's imitation. And then we meet the medicine. Sometimes it's ketamine, sometimes another doorway, but always an invitation. The medicine does not provide originality or repetition. It simply reveals patterns. It shows us the architecture of our own psyche, what we've built consensually and what has been copied unknowingly. It's not the medicine that grants freedom. It's our willingness to see the imitation within us and choose something real and genuine. It's not the medicine that grants freedom. It's our willingness to see the imitation within us and choose something real. So many of our patterns we inherit look harmless, even helpful. They tell us who to be, what to want, how to measure worth. We call them culture, tradition, professionalism, even spirituality. But beneath the surface, there are lives into predictable shapes. The medicine begins to show us this choreography, how often our choices are rehearsed before we even make them, how our originality is trained to march in step with the collective beat. After ketamine, we begin to sense that some of what we've called structure was actually containment, a looping rhythm of sameness that kept us safe but also small. The invitation is not to reject culture, but to step out of its trance long enough to remember how our own rhythm sounds. Ketamine opens the void, a clean, measured, metered space where we can observe the construction of self without being swallowed by it. In that space, we witness both our sameness and our possibility. We see how often we build our identities from borrowed blueprints, and how quiet the psyche becomes when finally it stops performing. The medicine does not erase the ego, it makes the ego transparent. We see through it, and through that transparency, something ancient and personal begins to breathe again. Individuation is not rebellion, it's reverence. It's how the universal finds new life through each of us. We often think becoming ourselves will set us apart, but truly, individuation brings us closer, because only the authentic can truly belong. It's the deepest form of participation. When we live our own myth, we add to the collective tapestry in a way no one else can. To individuate is to meet the archetype and allow it to take shape for a while, then release it again. The hero's journey belongs to all, but the hero return must be singular. What did we bring back that is ours alone? What story, what symbol, or even silence cannot be shared because it was meant only for us? Individuation asks us to stop asking, what should this mean? And start listening for, how does this feel through me? The medicine invites us into that listening. It holds the psyche open long enough for the voice of authenticity to rise, the voice that is neither grand nor small, but oh so true. We begin to sense that our individuality isn't a wound to transcend. It's the instrument, the sacred choice to play through. We let ourselves sound like ourselves. Something cosmic exhales in relief because it no longer has to repeat the same song. Perhaps the real hero's journey is the refusal to imitate anyone else. Sameness may feel safe, but safety has never been the path of awakening. The medicine shows us both the pattern and the invitation to step beyond it. As we come back from the medicine, from the dream, from the depths, we ask only one thing: to live what we saw in our own unmistakable way. Maybe that's quiet revelation, to become the living proof that unity and uniqueness are not opposite, but partners in creation. Inhale what is universal. Exhale what is uniquely yours. Until the next reflection, may you seeing be gentle, your heart remain curious, and your compassion extend to every being, including you.